Despite years of legislative hearings, task force reports, and special studies, Oklahoma has yet to find a way to stop leading the nation in the number of women living behind bars. Women's prisons in the state are now at 109% of capacity. Yet another interim legislative study has listened to the reasons for the problem and the possible solutions, which actually largely repeats what has been said for nearly the last 2 decades.
Charles Freider is chaplain of the Mabel Bassett Correctional Center in McLeod. His passion for helping female inmates is obvious, and his workload is daunting.
These are the things that I deal with in a day's work: grief, divorce, parenting issues, terminal illnesses with women, peer pressure, molestation, suicide, bitterness, delinquent children, abuse history, depression, anger, broken relationships, suicide, and loneliness.
Chaplain Freider was one of more than 20 people who told the Senate Public Safety Committee about the statistics, the women who represent those numbers, and the reasons why they end up in prison, and then what happens to them once they are released. The testimony largely replicated what former Lieutenant Governor Mary Fallin found in her task force study of the issue back in 2003 and 2004. Her study found, quote, drug and alcohol abuse, mental illness, and violence against women were the main contributors to the state's high incarceration rate of women. And the task force then found ways to lower the flow of women into state prisons.
Good jobs, good quality of life, a strong family structure, early on intervention through some of our substance abuse treatment programs, helping them coming out of our system by getting back on their feet. There are some ways that we can look at, how can we help them from entering back into the system or getting into the system in the first place.
But by early 2005, a study by the Oklahoma Commission on Children and Youth found that little was being done to rehabilitate women in Oklahoma prisons, and that more money to create new programs was needed to keep women from returning to prison. Then, another study in 2008 found the number of women in Oklahoma prisons had gone up 17% over the 2 prior years, and that almost 90% reported physical or sexual abuse in their past. And that is something Dr. Susan Sharp, a professor of sociology at the University of Oklahoma, told this week's legislative panel was a big problem for women who were repeat offenders.
2/3 of these women have histories of physical or sexual abuse in childhood, and about 80% of them have experienced rape or domestic violence as adults.
And she also found the root of the drug problem so many women in prison face.
They get into drugs and alcohol originally as a way to deal with the trauma that they never got help with during their childhood and that they continue to experience in adulthood.
And for those who do get out and stay out, there are some common factors that made that possible.
Success is enhanced with provision of safe housing. Success is enhanced when a job opportunity is available. Success is enhanced by continuing to obtain more education or training.
And she recommends adding to that drug and trauma counseling, not facing huge fines and court costs, help with transportation, and help and support from family and friends. As it turns out, there is a program for women getting out of prison that already does much of that. It's called Women in Recovery, and it takes 17 months to complete.
By treating the mother in a holistic environment, and also treating the children, we're able to bring them together to create healing, health, and love so they can go out and restore their family.
And just how important getting a family back together again, Mabel Bassett chaplain Charles Freider has witnessed firsthand.
And as I was standing in there with the offenders, one little girl come running in there and kept saying, "Mom, Mom." She hadn't seen her mom in 2 years. 2 years. Her husband died while she's been incarcerated. Her children are now in foster care. What will we do about it?
So far, however, just over 300 women have completed the Women in Recovery program. There are more than 3,200 women behind bars in Oklahoma right now. State Senator Wayne Shaw asked for this interim study and says small successes are at least progress.
So every life that we touch is going to make a difference. It's going to have that ripple effect. I wish we could do more.
The numbers have now reached a point that just about anything that diverts a mother or a father from prison will make a big difference, usually for a child. Timothy Tardibono is president of the Family Policy Institute of Oklahoma.
Even just a few percentage points of increase in their stability and their ability to succeed will improve that child's well-being, will improve their ability to succeed, and will substantially reduce government costs.
And that may be the real selling point for lawmakers to address this 2-decade-old problem, as they face ongoing budget problems now approaching billions of dollars.